Hello. So in this video, I'm going to read you another poem about education. In this case, Being Groomed for Higher Education from Ursula Duba's book, Tales from a Child of the Enemy. So just a tiny bit of background about Duba that I think is relevant to the poem. She was born in Cologne, Germany, around the beginning of World War II. And basically, Tales from a Child of the Enemy is a poetry collection about Duba's experience of growing up in post-war Germany without being taught about the Holocaust or the crimes of the Nazi regime, and then discovering in her late teens this part of her country's history that she had not been exposed to, and this sort of crisis, this personal crisis that comes with that experience. So, but this is Being Groomed for Higher Education. When she was 7 years old, her mother told the teacher that she wanted her daughter to receive a higher education, and would the teacher please see to it that her daughter studied hard so that she would pass the demanding entrance exam to the gymnasium. The old teacher, who herself had only finished 8th grade plus 2 years of a teacher's seminary, didn't think that anybody should go further than she had, especially a girl. What had been good enough for her 60 years ago was certainly good enough for anybody else. The old teacher disliked the 7-year-old girl who had a mind of her own, had too much imagination, talked during class, and made the other kids laugh with jokes and wisecracks, so she picked her out for special treatment. Every day she found fault with her and called her in front of the class. An error in arithmetic, a spelling mistake, dirty fingernails, a stain on her dress, or catching her whisper to another girl, and the tall old teacher with the straight back, the immaculate hairdo, and the starched shirt front would hit her on the back with the flat of her hand again and again while saying, "So you think you'll pass that exam? Look at yourself. You are stupid and dirty. You'll never pass the tests." The little girl tried hard not to make mistakes in arithmetic and spelling, to have clean fingernails, no stains on her dress, and especially not to whisper wisecracks to the other kids. But try as she might, the teacher continued to find fault. She was one of 7 children, and there was nobody to make sure she washed her face and cleaned her fingernails before going to school. The bath water was only heated once a week, and the school dress had to last all week, and sitting still for hours made her restless. At the beginning of the daily beating, she had complained to her mother, but quickly learned how unwise that was. "You must have done something wrong, otherwise the teacher wouldn't hit you," her mother had said, and she had received an additional beating at home. One day the old teacher told the class about the Celts, and homework that day was a composition about those ancient people. The little girl, who was an avid reader, had seen a book about the Celts in the library and added many details about the life of that old culture to her composition, which her teacher hadn't mentioned. She was so eager to show the teacher what additional information she had found, but the old teacher wasn't pleased at all. "How dare you write what I haven't lectured," she said, and that day the beating was particularly bad. Sometimes, when she was conscientiously doing her homework, she would dream that the old teacher would peer through the window and would see her diligently bent over her desk, writing neat rows of figures, doing her best penmanship for the composition required, and she hoped that the teacher would realize that she wasn't bad, and she would praise her instead, and the beatings and the daily humiliation in front of the class would stop. Finally, the day of the entrance exam arrived, and much to the little girl's surprise, she passed. The little girl was very pleased and couldn't wait to run to the old teacher and tell her with joy and excitement, "Guess what, Miss Wadenberg? I passed." But Miss Wadenberg wasn't pleased at all and said, "In a few months, your new teachers We'll find out how stupid you really are, and then they'll send you back to me." "Nobody will send me back to you," the little girl the little girl said to herself, and then added, "When I am grown up and am enjoying the life I want, you'll be long dead and eaten up by worms."